channel, Indiana Fever put belt to ass on Dejanay Carrington, Paige Bueckers, and the Dallas.
The Indiana Fever have officially entered their superhero origin story. We are talking about the kind of story where the hero that shows up, steals the show, and breaks a few records on their way out. Because that's exactly what Indiana Fever did. They showed up, broke 4 national records, and left the rest of the league scrambling to figure out what just happened. But the most surprising part? They did it all without their golden goose, Caitlin Clark.
Our best player. Half of the season we haven't had our best player, and we are still fighting to get a home playoff berth. Indiana Fever won 4 straight.
Yep, you heard that right. Clark was still out nursing a groin injury, and yet the Fever put together what might just be the most iconic performance of their season so far, breaking 4 franchise records in a single game and utterly dismantling a Paige Bueckers-led Dallas Wings team.
Your game is kind of whack, bro. I just got to keep it real. Belt to ass. Dejanay Carrington, that's for poking Caitlin Clark in the eye. That's for being a hater.
This wasn't supposed to happen. Analysts, fans, and even a few hopeful Wings supporters had probably already penciled in a Dallas win on the schedule. After all, how could the Indiana Fever, historically inconsistent and missing their best player, possibly keep up with the likes of Bueckers and a Wings squad desperate for a statement win? Well, Indiana answered that question with swagger, substance, and statistics. But how did this all happen? Let's dive into it and see how exactly the Fever overcame all odds and came out on top.
Win. The Fever are now 4 games over 500 on a 4-game win streak. The tied largest win streak, biggest win streak over the last 2 years. And they are now starting to win the games they're supposed to win.
Let's start with the foundation, Stephanie White. The head coach of the Fever deserves a standing ovation for her masterclass in leadership. White knew from day one that this team would be built around Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston. And while many pegged the duo as the future, White had her sights set on the present. Now, without Clark, the spotlight shifted entirely to Boston, and she did not.
Games, Aaliyah Boston, after scoring 14 straight points in the 4th quarter against the Phoenix Mercury, coming back with your 5th straight double-double, 12 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists for Aaliyah Boston.
Aaliyah was a force of nature on the court, controlling the paint, dropping dimes like a seasoned point guard, and leading her team to a glorious win. Boston recorded a monstrous double-double with 12 points and 11 rebounds, adding 5 assists and 2 steals for good measure. But it's not just the numbers that stood out, it's the way she got them. Boston operated like the WNBA's version of Nikola Jokic, facilitating offense from the post and creating mismatches at will.
Aaliyah Boston had a solid game. 12 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals. 5 turnovers, I did not like that. But all in all, a solid game. Natasha Howard!
Her +20 plus-minus rating was a glowing neon sign that screamed difference maker. She became the only center in the league with over 100 assists this season, putting her above MVP favorite A'ja Wilson in that department. If anyone still questioned whether Aaliyah Boston was a generational talent, consider that debate officially closed.
Oh, huge stat line there from Tosh. Aaliyah Boston with a double-double herself, 12 points, 11 rebounds, 4 of those rebounds offensive, 5 assists, 3 steals, 1 block.
Speaking of records, let's run down the Fever's historic night like we're narrating a highlight reel. First, Aaliyah Boston and Natasha Howard became the first WNBA teammates to each post at least 10 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals in the same game. That's a stat line you usually see once in a blue moon, maybe from a single player, not 2 on the same roster.
Natasha Howard ties her career high, 16 rebounds, facing her former team. Natasha Howard always plays well against the Dallas Wings.
Today, you showed up and you hit the boards today. You rebounded your tail off today. 16 rebounds, 5 assists, 11 points. Natasha Howard, you played a good game today. You played a good game today.
Boston and Howard were basically running a defensive boot camp out there, and Dallas had no answers. It wasn't basketball, it was a heist. Then came Kelsey Mitchell. Oh boy, Mitchell has been on an absolute tear since the All-Star break, and this game was just another chapter in her redemption arc. She dropped 23 points with ease, logging her 13th 20-point game of the season, more than anyone in the league post-All-Star.
The rejection.
Carrington pretty much just gave her that basketball.
She did.
She really
Mitchell
did.
for three rattles it.
Kelsey Mitchell was sort of carrying the thing on her back for a while. All right, 32 minutes for Kelsey, 9 of 19, 23 points. That field goal percentage made a very, very nice comeback because she was struggling a little bit there for a while, but she made a nice comeback.
Mitchell has always been a lethal scorer, but now she's doing it with composure and leadership. The game has slowed down for her, and she's making it look unfair. With Clark sidelined, Mitchell has proven that the Fever's scoring doesn't evaporate. It just redistributes to other elite hands. And speaking of elite, enter A.R. McDonald and Chloe Beebe, two players who weren't even part of the season-opening hype machine, but are now essential pieces of Indiana's puzzle.
Game today, and I gotta be real with y'all. I love this Chloe Beebe edition. Boy, did y'all see that three she shot out the corner on a retreat? Like, she wasn't even set. She was still moving.
McDonald looked like she was born for big moments, tallying 15 points and 6 assists with the kind of court awareness that would make any coach swoon. The former Atlanta Dream guard fit into the Fever system like a glove, bringing maturity, grit, and just enough chaos to throw Dallas off their rhythm. Chloe Beebe, meanwhile, is the definition of an overnight sensation. After just 2 games with the Fever, she had already earned a rest-of-season contract, and it's not hard to see why.
I thought Chloe Beebe came in, bang, bang, 2 threes, and then got subbed out.
Said Damaris Dantas, Chloe Beebe, Timpson, Colson, Lexi Hull. Everybody got in on the party. Chloe Beebe comes in, hits 2 threes back-to-back, and gets sat for the rest of the game.
Baby knocked down multiple three-pointers for the 3rd straight game, becoming the first player in franchise history to do so in her first 3 appearances. Her ability to stretch the floor gave Indiana an entirely new dimension. Defenders who once dared to sag off the perimeter were punished brutally for their arrogance.
Nah, Chloe Beebe could really shoot that thing. She was 2 of 3 from 3, giving you that stretch floor that you need. She only played 6 minutes.
Let's not gloss over the 3rd and 4th franchise records either. A.R. McDonald became the 3rd fastest player in Fever history to reach 150 points and 50 assists, joining elite company with Tamika Catchings and Caitlin Clark. That's not just solid company, that's a Hall of Fame conversation company.
A.R. McDonald is a floor spacer. She opens up opportunities for Kelsey Mitchell. She keeps her defender out of the paint for Aaliyah Boston. She sets pretty nice screens for A.R. McDonald.
The Fever front office deserves a standing ovation for their mid-season acquisitions because the chemistry is real, the system is thriving, and the results are loud and clear, especially when you consider the past few games, where it looked like the shining magic of the Indiana Fever may have dissipated. But after watching them whoop Paige Bueckers and her Dallas Wings, Fever is back in business.
And so Indiana's mindset is we're disappointed in the way this went because you cannot allow teams that you should beat have any confidence at all. There's got to be a killer instinct in you that says we got to annihilate them.
Of course, no victory of this magnitude comes without a little spice, and there was plenty of that on display. Coach Stephanie White didn't mince words in the post-game presser. She made it crystal clear. Nobody is going to get anything easy against us. The Fever are done being the team that others circle as an easy win. They are here to compete, to win, and to dominate. Whether Caitlin Clark is on the floor or not.
But I think for us, when we get a chance to really put ourselves in a position to, win games, we got to win them. I think any competitor knows that when we say win them. And I think we took some time off, we had a little drop off.
Make no mistake, this Fever side has got the potential, hunger, and the skill to dominate this season, and it seems like Stephanie White is turning Clark's absence into something positive for the entire squad. The recent roster shakeup that saw a few key departures may have raised eyebrows at the time, but now it looks like a stroke of genius. The locker room is rejuvenated, the energy is infectious, and the unselfish play on both ends of the floor is what championship DNA looks like.
By saying I feel like this was one of their best games as far as playing Fever basketball, which is a fast-paced style of basketball. They played Fever basketball for, I would say, about 75 to 80% of the game. And we have obviously seen this style of basketball, the style of basketball that we all know and love from the Indiana Fever, but we have only really seen it in short spurts.
Kelsey Mitchell even took a subtle jab at some of the team's former members when she called Aari McDonald a blessing in disguise. That wasn't just a compliment. That was a carefully phrased burn. Translation? We got rid of the dead weight, and now we're flying.
Like, this is our blessing in disguise. We always tell her that we appreciate her seriously because respect, and I think for Aari, she compliments myself, all the other players so well because she just gets it as far as knowing where people are, knowing the chemistry.
Let's not forget, Caitlin Clark is expected to return soon, and that should terrify the rest of the league. Because this version of the Fever, with its chemistry, defense, and three-point threats, is already dangerous. Add in one of the most generational passers and scorers the women's game has ever seen, and you have a juggernaut in the making. The playoffs are no longer a dream. They are a roadmap.
The Fever are beating everyone they're meant to beat, other than that one loss against Connecticut Sun. The Fever are undefeated against the Sky, undefeated against the Wings.
Paige Bueckers, to her credit, tried to rally the Wings. She gave her all, showed flashes of brilliance, but ultimately couldn't crack Indiana's code. The Fever defense smothered her like whipped cream on a Waffle House stack, and every time Dallas tried to mount a run, they were met with another dagger 3 or a perfectly timed block.
And I think Paige is going to continue to improve in the WNBA in that regard. And this is going to be fun to be able to watch Paige and to watch Caitlin as their WNBA careers progress. But at this point in time, there is something that is so special about Caitlin, and she really just changes the pace of the game.
But more than anything, this game solidified one irrefutable fact. The Indiana Fever are no longer a one-woman show. For all the noise around Caitlin Clark, and rightfully so, this team has become a well-oiled machine with multiple weapons and a coaching staff that knows exactly how to push the right buttons.
But it is good to start stacking these wins. I think we can, bro. We can top 4 seed, bro. I don't care. We can beat we get Caitlin back healthy. We can and will beat anybody. We will win the championship this year if Caitlin Clark comes back healthy. That's a fact. Ain't nobody seeing us.
When Clark returns, she won't have to shoulder the burden alone. Instead, she'll be joining a squad that's firing on all cylinders, breaking records, and loving every minute of it. And if you're a WNBA team staring down a playoff bracket that includes the Indiana Fever, you might want to start praying now, because this isn't the same Fever team from 2023. This is a team that has found its identity. This is a team that's sick of being underestimated. This is a team that's learning how to win and doing it with style.
Clark, we could beat the Mercury without Caitlin Clark. With CC, the Liberty and Lynx, man, we could get y'all. We can get y'all. I'm fully confident.
Caitlin Clark was already the headline act in the WNBA, a generational phenom with a three-point range so deep it needs its own area code. But what we're seeing now, as she recovers from her groin injury, is something perhaps even more impressive than Clark's own individual greatness: her team's evolution in her absence. The Indiana Fever aren't just waiting for Clark to return so they can breathe again. They're building a storm, one win at a time, so that when Clark finally does come back, she's walking into a high-powered machine ready to match her energy.
The Mystics and the Indiana Fever are now plus 500 without Caitlin Clark. And that is something that I never thought I would see. Especially because there was a stage where they were at 500.
But make no mistake, Caitlin Clark's fingerprints are still all over this team. Her energy, her competitiveness, her leadership, even from the sidelines, are infectious. When your star raises the standards so high, everyone else either levels up or gets left behind. Clearly, Indiana's not interested in getting left behind. They're sprinting to meet that standard, and they're dragging the rest of the league into the arms race whether they like it or not.
Finding their groove, and they're starting to find that. And this was one of the first games where I feel like there wasn't so much selfish play. They were moving as a unit. They were playing fast. What are you doing?
That's what made this blowout against Paige Bueckers and the Dallas Wings so terrifying for the rest of the league. Because for all of Clark's dazzling playmaking, jaw-dropping range, and uncanny vision, Indiana just proved they can beat a top-tier team without her. That's the kind of flex you don't just forget. That's the kind of performance that shifts narratives. Up until recently, there was a quiet but persistent concern. Could the Fever survive if Clark got injured? Could they still function at a high level without her orchestrating the show? Well, now we know. Not only can they function, they can dominate.
Look, man, all in all, this is a good win. This is a good win. You know, We are getting further and further away from being near 500 team. We had no business being that. And at the end of the day, I'm ready. We just holding the ship steady until the GOAT comes back.
The scary part? This team is peaking without Clark. Imagine what happens when she returns fully healthy, fueled by frustration and hungry to prove that her rookie year isn't just about hype, but about wins, records, and playoff statements. The Fever aren't just playoff hopefuls anymore, they're playoff problems. With each game, the chemistry grows stronger. With each win, the confidence swells. And when you take a group of talented players and inject them with belief, good luck trying to slow them down.
The Fever should try to trade for Natasha Howard, or they should get rid of certain people, and they should try to change up the unit now. We are halfway through the season. What the Indiana Fever needs the most is to hone in on their identity, hone in on Fever basketball, which is playing fast, playing with pace, playing unselfishly, moving the ball around, hitting wide open threes when you have them. Like, those are the things, and putting back-to-back wins together.
So yes, Clark was a generational talent before the injury. But now, Indiana is on its way to becoming a generational team, and that's a problem for everyone who's been sleeping on the Fever. Because when your star gets hurt and your squad responds by torching playoff contenders, that's not resilience, it's domination in disguise.
What the Indiana Fever needs the most is to hone in on their identity, hone in on Fever basketball, which is playing fast, playing with pace, playing unselfish.
Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, Harry McDonald, Chloe Babe. The Fever aren't just building for the future, they're taking over the present. And after dismantling Dallas and putting up a 4-record night without their superstar, the message is loud and clear. The Fever are just getting warmed up.